The team's name is Massy, with the title Proposal for Amendment to STCW Convention regarding Mars. Let's give team a big hands.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tim Massey. In today's world, we live in a society where the fourth industrial revolution is about to take place, or perhaps it is already happening on the myriad industry, and there's no doubt about it is occurring in the maritime industry as well. The maritime autonomous surface ships, also known as MASS, is a typical example of this phenomenon. Currently, the MASS is being discussed in the IMO. In this connection, we also think it is necessary to start the discussion about seafarer who will be replaced by autonomous equipment or transferred to shore. There will be the 4 technical sections. In the background section, I will present what MASS is and the status of upcoming breathtaking technology. The fourth industrial revolution is the root of our proposal. The first industrial revolution used water and steam power, and the second used electronic and assembly line. And the third used computer and the information technology to automate the production. Now, the fourth industrial revolution used cyber and autonomous system to activate the productions by its own. In order to react to this upcoming event, the maritime industry has started to focus and develop the autonomous ship in hope of safer and economic shippings. So what is autonomous ships? There is a variety of definitions made by several agencies. Among them, the definition made by IMO will explain what MASS is. The MASS is simply a ship which to varying degree can operate independently without human interaction. Prior to the 1990s, the development of autonomous vessels was initiated mainly for the military purpose. It was later developed for the other variety of purposes such as maritime security. In the early 2000s, innovative maritime technology started to integrate with the unmanned vessel. And beginning in 2010, the movement to build unmanned cargo ship was initiated. In other words, the era of MASS has brought up to the maritime industry. The Rolls-Royce, the current leading company for the autonomous ships, has specified the status of MASS development. According to the roadmap Marine 4.0 project, in the year of 2020, their first goal is reducing a crew. And by the 2025, they will produce remote control unmanned vessel that can sail on the coastal. And by the 2030, it will be able to sail on the high sea. And finally, by the year of 2035, they insisted they will be able to produce fully autonomous vessel. And MASS will require new technology. With some research, our team categorized MASS technology into 4 different sections. First, remote control technology. With this technology, officer is no longer required to be on board. So officer will work on the shore base using the remote control equipment and twin technology. The second, we have autonomous systems. This technology will enable the ship to sail by itself, and it will also avoid collision without the officer intervention. The third, the communication and network. The sensor module and the ship cybersecurity and enhanced position navigating timing technology are one of them. The last but not least, we have environmental technology. If the MASS produce more pollution than conventional vessels, the MASS will not be commercialized. Next, there will be the presentation of why our proposal is necessary.
And thank you. And now, as the second speaker, I would like to address why the proposal of the STCW is necessary regarding MASS. The table on the left shows the transition of the seafarer announced by the Lloyd Register. When conventional ship develop into the MASS, the working place of the seafarer will shift from onboard to shore. Since the working place of the seafarer changed, the knowledge and the qualification will be different from those working on board. Therefore, the new qualification requirements should be defined and train people before the MASS era comes into true. And we would like to focus on the autonomous level 6 in our presentation. Recently, there have been a lot of discussions in IMO regarding MASS. It can be presumed that MASS is the most interesting issue in 2018. And these issues are included in Stretch Plan and 2018 to 23 SD2. Many documents are dealing with technical, legal, and any other parts of the MOS, but definition and qualification of the operator have not yet been discussed. Currently, there is no definition of the seafarer in STCW convention. Only MSC Resolution 255 defines the seafarer as the person who working on board. And MSC 99 Session Information 3 defines the operator as the person who working physically not on board. Based on these definitions, it seems that operator is not included in boundary of the seafarer. So major question arise. Will operator be seafarer? Our answer is yes. Based on wider purpose of the STCW convention, the obligation imposed on seafarer by STCW also apply to a person performing similar work functions. And the Article 9 of the convention for flag states emphasis that maritime education and training should adapt the development of technology. So the STCW convention is the proper tools to deal with mass operator. However, the word operator has various meanings and it does not represent all of his concept at this picture below. So based on his duties, the new term, shore-based ship operator, will be used in our presentation. The SBSO is abbreviation. And this picture shows four major features of the SBSO. The first of SBSO is included in boundary of the seafarer. And second, 66% of required skill for SBSO or maritime skills. And third, SBSO works in shore-based center. And finally, the SBSO is dual qualified officer who need to qualify the new mass technology based on maritime requirements. In the past, there was the similar case of the dual qualified officer. It was the WIG officer. Through a lot of discussions in IMO, the WIG officer has to qualify it in both from STCW and IACO. As the WIG officer do, the SBSO, shore-based ship operator, has to be qualified in navigation engineering and new mass technology requirements. Thank you. And next, there will be the presentation of our team's proposal.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And as the last speaker, I would like to address our team's proposal regarding the amendment of the STCW Convention. As you can see here, we propose three proposals of amending the STCW Convention. First, amending the title of Chapter 7. Second, create new term and definitions for the SBSO. And lastly, proposing the competencies of the SBSO. With these three proposals, we are going to amend the STCW Convention. Our first proposal, amending the title of Chapter 7. We strongly recommend that Chapter 7 Alternative Certification be renamed as Chapter 7 Shore-Based Ship Operator. So, why the change? First of all, the current operator policy is ineffective. Numbers of current conventional operator has been dropping significantly throughout the mid-1990s. And even today, conventional operator does not take a big part in the maritime and shipping industry. Second, similar competencies between the SBSO and the current operator. Simply put, as the majority of the SBSO competencies overlap to those of the conventional operator, amending Chapter 7 is convenient and relevant. And lastly, proposals of the current Chapter 7. As the current, according to the guideline of the STCW book, the main proposal of this chapter is to open up a new career path for seafarers. With this in mind, amending Chapter 7 is the most realistic proposal that we have thought of. Our second proposal, the definition of the SBSO. As you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, shore-based ship operator means a person who takes care of or monitors the navigation of one or more autonomous ship in a shore-based center. and hold a qualification in accordance with the provision of Chapter 7 of the STCW Convention. We had created this definition on the basis of the 4 features of the SBSO that was previously mentioned in our second speaker, especially the fact that the SBSO works in a shore-based center. And also, we also considered the definition of the operator that was used in the IMO MSC 99 Information 3. Our third proposal, competencies of the SBSO. Competencies as navigator will be based on Chapter 2 by the removal of provisions related to the qualifications of onboard job which need to be done by people. This is the current deck officer section A2/1, and if the amendment is made, as you can see on the red word, responding to emergency and distress, inspection, FFA, LSA, and medical aid on board ship should all be deleted, as this is related to only when there are officers on board. So ultimately, it will consist mainly the theories and knowledge of navigation, as this will be necessary when the SBSO is overseeing the ship in a shore-based center. The revised A2/1 will be renamed as A7/4, and this will be included in Chapter 7, Shore-Based Ship Operator. Deck Officer Section A2/2, which is for officers at the management level, will follow the same step of amendment that had been previously made. This is the current Deck Officer Section A2/2, and when the amendment is done, compass error, rescue procedure, and crew management should all be deleted. The revised A2/2 will be named as A7/5, and this will also be included in Chapter 7 as well. Deck Officer Section A2/3, which is for officers of ships of 500 gross tonnage or less, will be deleted, as there will be no need of standard. Likewise, Section 4 will also be deleted, as there will be no need of support level of seafarer. Competencies as engineering will be based on Chapter 3 by the removal of provisions related to the qualification of onboard job which need to be done by people. This is the engineering officer section A3/1, yet when the amendment is made, usage of internal communication system, maintenance, repair, and care for persons on board should be removed, as the SBSO duty is to discover and report malfunction to the relevant institution. Basically, it will consist of the theories and knowledge of engineering, as I have been mentioned in the previous navigation as what I had done with the navigation section. The revised A3/1 will be named as A7/6, and this will be included in Chapter 7 as well. Engineering Officer Section A3/2, which is for engineering officer at the management level, will follow the same step of amendment that had been previously done. This is the current Engineering Officer Section A3/2, and basically operating engine procedures, usage of internal communication, ensuring safe working practices, and care for persons on board should be removed. The revised A3/2 will be named as A7/7, and this will be included in Chapter 7 as well. Engineering Officer Section A3/3, which is for officers of ships powered by main propulsion of 750 kilowatts and 3,000 kilowatts propulsion power, will be deleted, as there will be no need of propulsion power for mass. Likewise, Section 4 will be deleted as well, as there will be no need of seafarer for autonomous ship. Lastly, competencies for the new technology. In this amendment, technologies for mass should be added in the convention, and this will be reached by making a new section A7/8. The competencies will be based on the four technologies that was mentioned in our previous page: remote control, communication and network, autonomous technology, and environmental technology will be the standard competencies of SBSO for the mass education. Likewise, this section will also be included in Chapter 7 as well. In conclusion, the amendment to the STCW Convention is as follows. Our first amendment to the STCW Convention is to revise the title of Chapter 7, Alternative Certification, to Chapter 7, Shore-Based Ship Operator. Our second amendment to the STCW Convention is to insert the definition of the SBSO. The inserted sentence is according to our second proposal. And last but not least, our third proposal of amendment to the STCW is to enact a new regulation in Chapter 7. In this regulation, it is mandatory that every candidate should hold a certification at the navigational level, engineering level, and the technological level according to the listed table. Table A7/4 and 5 is the listed table of the navigational level that was previously mentioned in our third proposal. 6 and 7 is the listed table that was also for the engineering level that was also presented in our last proposal. And last but not least, table A7/8 is the listed table of the technological level that was also mentioned in our third proposal. Like what Klaus Schwab said about the fourth industrial revolution, Mass will dramatically change the concept and bring a new line of workforce to the maritime and the shipping industry. Therefore, our team proposes to the IMO to propose the amendment of the STCW regarding mass. These are the references that we have been using throughout our presentation. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your sincere attention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Team Massy, for a nice presentation on the proposal of amendment to STCW Convention regarding Mars. Okay, the Q&A session will be followed by the Mr. Bak, please.
Thank you for your presentation, Massy. Do you have any question on the floor? Okay, Sivion.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your presentation. We're Team CVON, and I have a question regarding the reference. On presentation page 10, you mentioned different autonomous level of mass taken from the source Lois resistor, which is not recognized by IMO, but isn't it necessary to discuss the criteria adopted by IMO, such as MSC 99? And secondly, what do you expect from the revision of the definition of the operator? And when do you expect this proposal can take practical effect on the industry? I personally thought requiring training of technological, engineering, navigational level of ability is pretty costly. And do you think the benefit of mandating all-round training exceeds the cost of the training in short term? Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. But we took this idea from the Rolls-Royce company because we thought it is most efficient mass development to explain our proposal.
Sorry, I mean.
To actually support the answer that our teammates said, the level of autonomous level made by Rolls-Royce is actually based on the IMO section. The IMO section, according to the IMO, they listed 4 technical levels in the MSC. So basically, we thought it doesn't really matter of differentiating the autonomous level from the Rolls-Royce or the IMO. And the second question will be answered by the second speaker.
Okay, thanks, Chair. First off, normally in case of the maritime university, it takes 4 years for maritime education and training, and the STCW convention takes 12 months for the period of acceptance. So account of all of this process, the SBSO will be appearing after about 6 or 7 years. Thank you.
Sivion, you want more questions? No? Okay. Next is the CFANG's first and second.
So Cherry.
Thank you for your informative presentation. And This is Team C Fungus, and I have a question regarding about SBSO. So there are online vulnerabilities since the information and the operation done by SBSO is significant. How are we going to compensate the problem, and how will be the responsibility taken?
Can you rephrase your question again, please? I didn't really get what you meant.
Since the jobs done by the SBSO is significant and the information held by SBSO is also important, how are you going to compensate these problems if any kinds of online attack has happened? And how will be the responsibility will be taken?
So I personally think that the SBSO doesn't really take full charge of the autonomous vessel. He is like the watchkeeping officer, like for a manned ship. Like although the master takes full control of the ship, the shipping company and other maritime institution will also help the SBSO overcome that cyber security attacks. So with this in mind, like what you said, even though SBSO needs to take the knowledge and theories of cyber attacking, he or she, the duty of the operator also is to report malfunction and discover cyber attack and report it to the relevant institution. Thank you. Did that answer your question, sir?
Yes, but if it's just the watchkeeper and report, then who will actually take the responsibility once the problem happens?
So, like based on the formal presentation, the SBSO will be regarded as the master, as there will be no need of support or operational level of seafarers. So he will be in charge of the first problem, but other institutions will actually be in charge of the duty as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer.
Okay, any questions to? Could you?
Soterian.
All right. First of all, thank you for the presentation. And on the slide number 21, it states about the SBSO acts as the navigator of the ship that determines the position and the accuracy of resultant position. However, due to the fact that mass software components are quite vulnerable, and it's like one of the significant challenges faced by the maritime navigators is navigational cyber risk like GPS manipulation or even GPS spoofing. Do you have any specific or significant changes toward the GPS navigation used by the maritime industry to solve this problem? Thank you.
I'm sorry, but can you repeat the last sentence, please?
All right, do you have any kind of changes towards the GPS navigations that's used by the maritime industry now? Because the GPS navigation in the maritime industry now is still quite vulnerable. There are a lot of GPS manipulation or spoofing case. So because you states about the SBSO can act as the new navigator, so do you have any new type of changes or any new type of system toward this problem? Thank you.
Honestly speaking, our focus of the presentation is about the education of seafarers, meaning that these subjects needs to be discussed. So I personally think that future technological or system level will be discussed in the future. So in our presentation, we focused on what the competencies of the SBSO is based on the navigational and engineering and also the technological level. So honestly speaking, we don't really know what technology will appear because it's happening in the future. But in this presentation, definitely technological level will be very important for the SBSO. And yes, I think that's the answer that I can give you right now. Thank you.
Okay, we have a 30 second. Another question? Yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. And this is Team CU. In slide 22, you said that the standard of tonnage has to be deleted. But if an accident occurs, how will the level of responsibilities alongside with the tonnage of the ships be determined?
Actually, the fundamental reason why there is tonnage level right now is based on the ship if it sails on the coastal or the high seas. So with this in mind, according to Yara, the coastal autonomous ship will have its own sea passage, making sea passage allowing it to sail with no intervention. So with this in mind, we think that like if some kind of danger happens in we don't really think that danger will happen in the sailing process by the tonnage standard. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you. We wanted to close the morning session, and then thank you to the Massy, and we want to close to the question and answer time.